how to not lose your gun. Hey everybody, BK with Masada Tactical with another video here. And today I want to talk about arguably one of the more important elements of carrying a gun. If you have the right to carry legally and you have a gun on you, then you probably don't want to lose that gun, either accidentally or by somebody actually trying to grab it and take it away from you. So weapon retention becomes a paramount, huge skill that you need to learn and practice. When discussing weapon retention, there's a lot of variables we need to consider. Obviously, having the weapon concealed rather than open adds an element of safety. If nobody knows I have a gun, they can't try and take the gun away from me. The holster I carry in should have a good retention mechanism. For most of my concealed carry or off-duty carry, if you guys have not seen the previous video, I carry an A&R holster. It has good retention, so the weapon is not going to fall off accidentally, and it's easy for me to draw when I need to. There are a variety of skills that we teach when we discuss weapon retention, talking from weapon retention before contact is made, so if somebody's just approaching, how to not let them get close enough to where they can grab my gun, what to do once their hand is already on my gun but my weapon is still holstered, and then what to do if my gun is out of the holster and I get into a tussle with somebody for whatever reason and they have my gun and try to take it away from my hands. Today we're going to concentrate on weapon retention in the holster once contact is made. So their hand is already on the gun, I'm a second behind, and now I'm going to make sure they do not pull the gun out. So as mentioned, today we're going to talk about weapon retention in the holster. So the gun wasn't pulled out yet, but I'm a second too late, and Steve here actually put his hand on my gun. I don't care what holster you have, what kind of retention mechanism on it, if it's inside the waistband, outside the waistband, a tactical holster with what kind of levers and buttons and snaps. Okay, ultimately, that gun has to come straight up in order to clear that said holster. So the first move I'm going to do is make sure that gun is not being pulled straight out. I'm going to take both hands, put on top of his hand, or both hands, whatever he has on the gun, and I'm going to squat down, putting as much of my body weight into it, making it harder for him to pull the gun out. At this point, I'm kind of limited. Really what I need to do is I need to distract him. I need to make sure that his computer, his brain is thinking about something other than snatching my gun out of my holster. This is where violence is going to come into play. I'm going to strike. One hand still keeps the gun. It doesn't matter which hand strikes and which hands hold the gun, as long as one hand continuously applies pressure into the holster, making sure the gun is not pulled out. I can strike as many times as needed, okay? Possibly he will let go just from being hit so many times. Notice that I'm staying in my low squat position. If I was to come up in order to kick or do something else, I'm going to facilitate its chances of pulling the gun out. So in order to make sure that does not happen, I'm going to stay here, and all my strikes are going to be done from this angle and from this stance. If he didn't let go, very last step is I'm going to use my arm as a windshield wiper, as a 2x4, and I'm going to clear as close to his wrist as possible as I am turning away. And I'm going to draw my gun. I'm drawing my gun because from a legal standpoint, this is a deadly force event for me. If he already tried to go for my gun, he showed what's called means and intent, and potentially if he was to take my gun from me, he could use that against me. Doesn't mean that I have to shoot him at this point, and I may very well have to reholster, but I'm not going to give him the opportunity to grab my gun again. If you carry a gun legally, make sure you know how to retain that gun and not lose it. Again, it can be accidentally, and that can easily be solved by having a good holster, okay, on purpose by an ill-intended individual trying to grab your gun away from you. Okay, in that case, you have to do whatever you need to do to make sure that gun stays in the holster. If you lose that gun, the liability may fall on you if that gun is being used against you, against somebody else. You may still be the one to blame for that crime. As always, appreciate you guys leaving comments, questions, liking and subscribing to our channels. Keep doing so. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. Until next time, watch your six.